Prince, like many people in the entertainment industry, was a very vain person. This you can see exhibited early in his career when he relied heavily on makeup and his different facial expressions, and in a lot of ways, he was even feminized to a certain degree. So it isn't any surprise, really, that he would create a group called Vanity Six. And the group, in and of itself, was controversial for their sexual expression through music and liberation. Now, as you may know, sex is used as a major tool in the entertainment industry. It's used to sell music and it's used to sell products. It's a devil's vice which can negatively trap you into a very dark hole. Vanity also had a relationship with Prince as a result of their industry connection. Now, the Vanity Six group leader, Denise Matthews, who was known as Vanity, died on the very day of the 58th Grammy Awards, which was February 15th, 2016. And she was also an actress. And she was also aged 57 when she died from sclerosing encapsulating peritonitis, which is a rare impediment of the peritoneal dialysis. Now, however, this wasn't a natural health problem. It's a problem that's caused by drug use, and Vanity was a product of this demonic entertainment industry, which consumed Denise's soul, her dignity, and her connection to God. Upon Denise's death, Prince spoke about her passing during a concert in Australia, and he illustrated that Vanity and Denise were actually two different people. And I'm going to quote him. He said, "Can I tell you a story about Vanity, or should I tell you a story about Denise? Her and I used to love each other very deeply. She loved me for the artist I was. I loved her for the artist she was trying to be. She and I would fight. She was very headstrong because she knew she was the finest woman in the world. She never missed an opportunity to tell you that." And so I guess that is, hence where the actual name Vanity was chosen as her moniker, because she was aware of her external beauty. Now, the number six in the group name, and there's a double meaning behind the group name. Many of you may not even realize that it wasn't just chosen based on her, but there was a meaning behind it, and it was Prince's little joke. The number six in the group name, Vanity Six, represented the amount of breast in the group. There were three members, and so obviously this was linked to the sexual references of the two breasts each. And in fact, all of the female performers who Prince chose during this time to put in the forefront were overtly sexualized. Sheila E., Cat Glover, Mayte actually, and others. But the number six in particular also plays a different significance, because Vanity Six was very much a group that was based on sex and rebellion. Now, the number 666 in occultist terms is the number of the beast Satan, who also is a beast of a rebellion. This is what got him kicked out of heaven, his rebellion against Christ, because he was filled with pride and, quote, vanity, and he wanted to be acknowledged as being the greatest, or greater than Yeshua, and he was cast out of heaven. The number six individually is a sacred number representing the soul of man, which illustrates the power of God. This interlinks with the biblical teaching that the greatest sin of man is pride. And what is pride? Vanity. This is very interesting in that the literal meaning of vanity encapsulates being engrossed in pride, thus contradicting the significant meanings of vanity and of the number six. So it's a sort of a contradiction. But let me go just briefly into the gematria system of numerology. Now, I'm going to quote from Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beasts, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. End quote. Anyone who is aware of the inner workings of the Illuminati knows that symbolism and numerology both play vital importance when ritually sacrificing individuals in the industry. Now, I have spoke about this in the past in other videos. The elite hold major significance to the occult symbolism and numerology. As such, when applying the gematria principles which illustrate the occult meanings of numbers, on the death day of Denise Matthews, aka Vanity, you will find that she was indeed sacrificed. Now, I know I'm going to hear from many of you, oh no, this wasn't the case, but I actually had to go back and research this even further after so many of you knocked me for the Prince video stating that I couldn't let him rest in peace. And I'm going to answer some of your questions here. Okay, so why didn't I wait? Well, I didn't wait because so many people were shocked by this, including myself. I mean, out of the blue, this man dies, that we wanted answers. And why should we wait? People are grieving now, so they need answers now, not next week. They need them now in order to find closure. Also, it's a fact that I only gave you a few clips of what he was talking about, but it was a fact that he was, going on and on and on about the New World Order, and he was waking up to a lot of things, and he was starting to publicly denounce the doings of the elite, and that opens up a whole wormhole of things when you start exposing them and you once were on their team. So let me get back just to this, the gematria system of numerology, which assigns a numerical value to a word phrase. In Greek, Hebrew, each letter of the alphabet doubles also as a number. Now, this practice has been carried into the English gematria system as well. It is the practice of calculating the numerical value of words and phrases by adding the numbers associated with each letter. So take for example, Denise died at age 57 on the 46th day of 2016. So you have February 15, 2016. Now, when applying the gematria system to the word sacrifice, the number 46 is calculated. When entering her date of birth, which is 1459, and adding the digits, this equals 64, which is the reverse of 46. Stay with me. On the date of the 58th Grammy Awards, and which is, by the way, a significant occultist event in the music industry, and I've done videos on how the Grammy Awards are satanic, and every year they get more and more satanic. She died of sclerosis periodontitis, which in other words is kidney disease. Now, applying gematria to kidney disease, this equals 58. More shockingly, her name coincides on the day of the 58 Grammy Awards. Denise Matthews equals 58. And you can do your own math. Don't take my word for it. But you see this number keeps coming up. Now, the artist Prince, the person who created the Vanity persona in the industry, was born in 1958. So finally, when you enter the date she died, which was 2/15/16, and you add the digits, this equals 33. And 33 is a powerful occultist number. It reflects sin and harm, and it derives from the number 11, 11 times 3. Which, this cannot be reduced because the number 10 is the number of perfection. Occultists multiply and add numbers in order to create other sacred numbers. They are also group numbers in ways, they will group numbers in ways that will be recognizable to other occultists. They often use the principle of intensification that greater power is derived from groupings. So regarding the number 3, intensification is achieved when it is shown as 33 or 333. Obviously, twice 333 equals 666. Now, likewise, 39 conceals 13. And Hitler chose to begin World War II in 1939, which is 11, which is 33, and 33, 333 twice is 666, as I stated, and both Roosevelt and Hitler came to power in 1933, and both were committed to the establishment of the New World Order. And this is history, folks. I don't have to sit and make this stuff up. So many of you say, oh, the Illuminati is not real. Oh, this stuff is not real. If you do the math and you do your research, you will see that it's very real, and it's very, very thought out and planned. And one of the reasons that the owl, which you'll notice if you've got $1 in your pocket, hopefully you do, take it out and look at one of the symbols on the dollar bill is an owl. And why is that there? Because the elite consider themselves like owls, that they can see in the darkness. So they see things that we don't see. And this is why so many of you are quick to dismiss this, because you can't see it. It doesn't make sense to you. It's consequently clear that all of the similarities between these numbers are beyond mere coincidence. The gematria study of numbers gives us an insight into the occultist significance of numbers and how they interlink with ritualistic deaths. I also want to say something else, just a disclaimer. Some of you accuse me of reading, and I want to say to you that when I do read, I'm reading stuff that I've written. So it doesn't matter that I'm reading, because I'm reading things that I wrote. So I have not plagiarized someone else's work. I'm reading my own work. The other thing is that you comment on my voice and vernacular, and I've even been called ignorant because I mispronounce words sometimes. Well, if you don't know already, I've mentioned it in previous videos, I have muscular dystrophy, which affects all of the muscles in my body, including those which enable me to speak. So while I have breath and ability to speak, I will, but sometimes I will also make mistakes because it's unavoidable. And so I don't know if an apology is in order. I think most of you can understand me. But I will apologize for those of you who are quick to take offense simply because I mispronounce a word. Please know that I don't do it purposely, and I certainly don't do it because I'm ignorant, which I am not. It is because of my condition, and so I do the best that I can do, as should we all. Now, the elite cleverly plan all ritualistic deaths and major calamities on precise dates to coincide with occultist significant numbers. If you check 9/11 and how many times the number 11 coincides, you will see that this was also a planned attack. Flight 11 was said to have 92 passengers. 9 plus 2 equals 11. Flight 77 was said to have 65 passengers, and we know 6 plus 5 is 11, so on and so on. Altogether, the sum of the tower windows was 21,800, and if you add up those numbers, 2 plus 1 plus 8, what do you have? 11. Okay, so I think you get my point. Who was Vanity? The name Vanity encapsulates everything that the entertainment industry is about. As I said earlier, most performers and entertainers, they get into the business because they are vain and because they need this constant approval and assurance that they are the best, that they are beautiful, and so on. When you search for the meaning of vanity, it is the excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements. Vanity's death, Denise Matthews, aka Denise Matthews' death, was on music's biggest night, the Grammy Awards, which is just a vain production put together to shower artists who obviously don't need any more fawning over, and to give them accolades for whatever talents they have and to assure them that they are indeed great. The fact that this happened on that night, which definitely takes excessive pride in achievements and appearance, was not by mistake. Vanity died on a night that celebrated vanity. However, her death takes on different significance in this regard. Her death on the biggest night in music simply illustrates that despite the persona you are groomed to employ, the industry will use you, and when you decide to rebel, they will destroy you. So, by her outwardly professing her love in Christ and her change from the drug using, promiscuous, vain entertainer to a woman of God, this was against the people who gave her this light and this stardom and this power to, I cannot tell you how many young girls, including myself. If you look at this old picture of me back in the 80s with my group, when I first got into entertainment, you will see that it was a direct copy of the Vanity Six persona, with me in the middle, the vain, quote, beautiful one, and the two girls on the side who also complimented my beauty. And it was vain, and it was not of God. Vanity was Denise's alter ego, her entertainment persona. In other words, it was the artist she was trying to be, as Prince said in his memorial in Australia. Denise, on the other hand, was a distant lover of God who was able to find God after her drug overdose. And it was after being in the hospital when medical professionals advised her that she had 3 days to live on life support that she had a religious experience during that time. And how many people do you know that happens to? They have this religious experience when they're on their deathbed. So she experienced a vision of Jesus who spoke to her saying that if she left Vanity, he would save her. And miraculously, she was able to get out of life support and survive. But she didn't do a total 360. Now, I'm going to hear it from a lot of you, and I'm ready for it, because the fact of the matter is that how many born again Christians and even men and women of God and men and women of the cloth do you know that are still not 100% on the total path? They still worship their idols. And although Vanity may have departed from her sexual idols, she was still attached to her money idols. Here you can see on Amazon her books. You couldn't buy this book, her life story, for less than $500. The cheapest copy is $450 plus. If that's not vain, what is? So, we have to walk the total path. We can't just straddle the fence like they used to say back in the day. We can't have one foot in the world and the other foot in mammon. And 1 foot in mammon and the world and the other foot in Yeshua. We have to go all the way. And I'm not saying she didn't go to heaven. I don't know where she went. But I know that when you charge $500 for a book about your life, that's pretty vain, because you're saying, you know what? You want to know about my life. You want to hear my testimony. You've got to pay me. Anyone who wants to hear my testimony can hear it for free. There's at least a half a dozen videos on here that give my testimony. And everywhere that I speak, I give my testimony, because that's what we do. If we are truly converted and transformed by the renewing of our minds, our job is to then gather as many as we can in the name of Jesus, Yeshua, Jehovah, God, to come over to the righteous side, to walk with him and to follow him. And we don't do that by charging them exorbitant amounts of money. Okay, so I'm not going to belabor that issue, but I did need to say it. She also had a GoFundMe page, which I get it. Okay, you need money for hospital bills. I actually had one too. But I would think that if you when you're in this industry and you are making money and you have that testimony and you go about and you do God's will, He will provide. He will provide. He says in His Word, "Do not worry about where you will eat, what you will wear, what you will eat, where you will sleep, because I know that you need these things." So we have to trust God. We can't get caught up in the thinking of the world that we have to hustle, hard. We don't have to. Children of God don't have to hustle hard because the Lord will take care of us. All we have to do is do His will. Okay, drugs and demonic possession, the perfect Illuminati formula of destruction, is getting an individual hooked on drugs, and it's the perfect way to demoralize their entire being and soul. Drugs infiltrate the ability to connect with God, and thus they are used to corrupt individuals in this industry. Now, in 1994 especially, Vanity was addicted to and she overdosed on crack cocaine, and she suffered from near fatal renal failure. Okay, and I know people who were in the drug game in California, as a result of this constant abuse. She later had a kidney transplant, and the encounters that she had with drugs undoubtedly led to all of these kidney problems that came about later. Now, magic and drugs and demonology have always gone hand in hand because drugs remove the part of the will that prevents demonic possession. How many of you know, and I can speak as a former pothead, that the higher you get, the more disconnected you become from reality? In fact, isn't that the whole reason that we got high? So that we could disconnect? And drugs, they're powerful. They're demonizing substances, and they're used by those who are skilled in demonology. And if the demonic possession is seen as part of mind control, then, all of these drugs, coke, crack, weed, and, a lot of other things, they are part of the effort to enslave people. The enemy attacks the camp while it is sleeping. What other perfect way to control a person than to get them high? That is a form of putting them to sleep so that you can then manipulate them for your own purposes. And the higher the person is and the longer you can keep them under this, the more control you have over them. In a 1995 interview, Vanity, aka Denise Matthews, explained that as a result of the religious experience, she completely left this Illuminati created persona, Vanity, and she broke free from the music industry. She was even embarrassed, she said, when she looked back at her industry persona. Well, I could see that because in every single publicity shot, she's either naked or near naked. So, of course, that's embarrassing to someone who is now proclaiming to be a child of God. And she indeed did proclaim that she had changed and she converted. And since this was a genuine choice, she genuinely felt remorse at her past. And that's how we should feel. Because if we don't, then we become like Lot's wife. We keep looking back to what we had, and we keep looking back to what we left behind, and pretty soon we're back there. Okay, so Denise became one with God, and she began to spread His word by speaking at churches around the world without looking back. However, the effects of her mind control was life-threatening, and that, coupled with her reconnection to God, made her a viable target. One of the major aims of the Illuminati is to overthrow major religion and religious institutions. So consequently, a product of the Illuminati entertainment industry that breaks free from the devil's hands and begins spreading the word of God will eventually be silenced through ritualistic and occult means. And this is exactly what I believed happened to Denise. There were friends of hers who said that they had just spoken with her. I think it was MC Hammer. He attends the same church that she attended. And he said, wow, I just spoke to her on Sunday and she looked the picture of health. And then, she died. And the same with Prince. He was apparently well enough to leave the hospital. Now, there are many varying reports in regards to the hospital. Some people say that because he couldn't get a private room. But I doubt that seriously, because if indeed he was that sick that he needed to be hospitalized, I don't know any reputable hospital that would have let him walk out of there. So he was apparently well enough to walk out. I'm bringing these points to you people in hopes that you will think. Rest in peace, Prince Rogers Nelson. Rest in peace, Denise Matthews. I want to end with prayer, something I didn't do on my earlier Prince video, and I regret it because I like to end all of my videos in prayer because so many of us, we need prayer. Prayer and fasting, people. These are the end times. Things are happening. Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. The fact is that they are. Yeshua, I ask you in the mighty name, in your mighty name, to open the eyes and the minds of the people, to help them to understand that this is not a game. There are demonic forces. You said that we would experience wickedness in high places, and the weapons that we battle, they are not carnal. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting out imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when our obedience is fulfilled. Father, I ask you to help the people to understand that blessed is them who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, because their delight should be in the law of the Lord, and in this law must they meditate day and night. The enemy is trying to capture my words, Lord. And I know you see this, but the people hear me, and they're going to hear me. Despite my mispronunciations, they will understand. Give them the understanding. Help them to see through the devices of the enemy, Lord. I ask you to put your hand on the young women who are out there in this entertainment industry, who are being molded into vixens and sexual anomalies of not what they were intended to be, Lord, in order to sell records, in order to beguile the public into lusting after them and buying their albums because of the images on them. And these talented people who don't have to rely on sexuality to sell music, Lord. They're already given and blessed with the talent that you gave them. Help them to know that they don't need to be naked on stage in order to win the fans and to win the people who will purchase the music and who will enjoy them. They can do this fully clothed and still make an impact. Help them to know that young girls are looking up to them and are copying their styles. They're young people today who are going back and forth to school, and they want to be like these singers, and they carry these inappropriate clothing in their book bags, and they get to school and they change into this trashy stuff because they want to attract boys and they want to be admired. And vanity is at work, Lord. The vainness of people is at work, Lord. The weather is changing and people are becoming more and more undressed and exposing more and more of themselves in order to be admired, Lord. And I ask you to help those who are righteous, those who wish to be righteous, and those who are not righteous but still have life. Help them to know that as long as they have life and breath, they have hope. I ask these things in the mighty name of Yeshua. Amen.